sitting with the breath, mindfulness practice. So before you begin, just checking your posture, whether you're sitting or lying, making sure that you feel supported and comfortable. If you're sitting, being aware of your feet flat on the floor, or if you're lying down, being aware of the weight of your body, the contact of the floor. So bring some awareness to the body before we start to focus on the breath. And then taking your mind's attention to the natural breath. And just being aware of it coming and going. Not forcing it in any way, not changing it, but just letting it be. Letting it come and go. And so you might become aware of all sorts of thoughts coming up in your mind, as your mind is naturally inclined to be thinking all the time. So just being aware of those thoughts, maybe labeling them. If they're a thought about planning or what you've done earlier today or what you're going to do tomorrow, just giving them a label and just allowing them to just drift out of the mind. And bringing yourself back to the breath, to the present moment, to the here and now. And you might also be noticing some feelings stirring inside right now. Emotions, sensations, and we're just going to let those be. We're just going to notice them and just allow them to be there. Maybe even noticing them ebb and flow. So just relaxing into this meditation. Keeping ourselves as present as possible by that focus on the breath. So it might be that you can feel the breath at the point when the air comes in through the nose or mouth, when it leaves the body through the nose or mouth, or perhaps it's your shoulders rising and falling, your chest rising and falling, at the abdomen. It might be just an overall sense of the breath, so in no one particular place. So this is a very personal type of connection, so there's no right place to feel the breath. And if you're new to mindfulness, and at any point in being a mindful practitioner, just allowing yourself to develop that relationship with your own practice. Being with yourself and being with yourself mindfully. And so you're continuing to be with the breath. As it comes and goes. Just that noticing of where you are and where your mind is, how your body is. it's like to be still in these few moments, right here and now. You might even begin to notice spaces between thoughts, even just a fleeting moment, just the tiniest amount of time. And whether you notice that or not, just being that observer. And each time we're the observer, we are taking a step back from judgment about ourselves, and maybe a step towards being more accepting. And just very naturally doing that, without forcing, without trying, just being in the moment. And continuing to come back to the breath each time your mind has wandered, which it will do quite naturally. So very gently bringing yourself back to the breath with kindness, with compassion. You may be aware of sounds outside the room where you're practicing or inside. And just noting those. It's okay that things are going on around you while you're practicing, as long as you have some space to practice and that you're not disturbed too much from your practice. So just being aware that things might happen. You might hear sounds outside, traffic on the road, an alarm, people's voices. You might also be disturbed by your own body, your own thoughts, feelings, sensations in the body, maybe pain or tension. So much can come up for us when we practice mindfulness. So being open to whatever comes up is something that we learn over time when we become more able to sit with what we experience during these practices. So being gentle and understanding, patient with yourself as you're learning. And so keep bringing yourself back to the breath. And it doesn't matter how many times you need to bring yourself back. That's not important. If it's every single breath, then it's every single breath. The important thing is presence, of really being here as much as you can today, right now, in this practice. And just noticing whatever comes up. And in the stretches of silence, being aware of how precious that is to be still and to be silent. What an opportunity it is for us to be more connected with ourselves, more self-aware, more present in the here and now. And so returning to the breath, following the breath, being with it. Each time we return to the breath, we are being mindful. It is mindfulness. So any concerns that maybe you're not doing it right or it's difficult, the very fact that you're sitting or lying here right now and trying it and being with the breath as much as you can be this time, that is mindfulness. And over time, mindfulness can teach us to take a step back, to let go of goals while we're practicing, to just be. And while we're here in this moment, we have the opportunity to be with ourselves, to check out, how are we right now? Are we holding tension, either physically in the body or in the mind? And just noticing this, and this can be very helpful for when we finish our practice to then decide to do something about it. returning to the breath whenever we feel we've wandered away, that maybe a thought or a train of thought has taken us somewhere else. And to, if we can, step back from any judgment we might have about that. It is what it is, and we've returned back to the practice from wherever we've been. And with just a few more minutes to go of this mindfulness practice, just committing yourself again to being with the breath, being as in the here and now as you can be. This one point of focus. Perhaps just connecting again with your feet if you're sitting. That sense of the feet on the floor, grounding you. Or if you're lying, that awareness of the floor beneath you, beneath your whole body. So just being aware of that for a few moments. And returning to the breath. And so as we come to the end of this practice, you might decide that you want to spend more time in this practice and stay a bit longer. Or if you feel that there's enough for right now, perhaps you want to begin to move and stretch a little bit and end your practice.